Hello beautiful people, and welcome to my channel. If you are a new subscriber, welcome, and if you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. Everything that I use in this video will be listed down below, so feel free to check that out if you need to. Also, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a comment to help out with the engagement on my channel. Let's get straight into it. I started off with my bronzer, and as you can see, I contoured my nose just a little bit and brought that bronzer all the way back to the outer portion of my eyelid, and I'm just blending that out. And the only reason why I did this because I wanted to use that as a transition color anyway. And I was like, hey, let me try this way to see how everything looked. And I did like the way it turned out. Now, I will not use this all the time, but I will in some way, shape, or form incorporate this into my videos. Not often though, but once in a while. Now I'm going in and doing a cut crease, and of course I'm doing the guide method, which is you put some concealer as closest to your lash line as you possibly can and then look up. It will create a line, especially if you're a beginner and you struggle to do a cut crease. This is an easy method to do. And that line that it creates at the top, you just follow that along and fill in the spaces like you see me doing right here. And I don't want my concealer to be that far back, but I do need to add it that far back just so that it can blend in with that brown as well as the other shades that I will be applying. And since I already added that bronzer to my nose, I decided to go ahead and drag that concealer from my eyes all the way down to the sides of my nose as well. And this is just to knock off a few steps when doing the rest of my face. And it did help a little bit, but it didn't really make a difference. I'm going back in with that bronzer, and you want to use a little bit of this because it is pigmented, and I'm just applying it to the outer corner and blending that into that concealer, basically getting rid of any harsh lines. Now it's time for some pigments, and I decided to go in with this darker purple, and I'm applying that right on top of that brown as well as blending that forward into that concealer. And you want to make sure you don't go too far back to the outer edge of your eye because you want some of that brown to show through. But you also want to make sure everything is blended together. Now I'm going in with this lighter purple. This is also a pigment as well. And you want to tap this into place as well as blend out the back part. I'm also taking this lighter purple pigment and applying it to the rest of my lid, and I'm just tapping that into place, making sure that I don't go above where that concealer was because I don't want to mess up anything. You also want to make sure that you properly blend everything backwards to that next shade so everything can flow together and you don't have any harsh lines. You can also build this color up if you like. If you want to get this color with one pass, go ahead and use any type of eyeshadow glitter glue or primer, and it will get the job done with that one pass, and you don't have to keep going in to build it up. I'm going to go back in with this darker purple shade, and I'm really taking my time with blending this out, making sure that I fade that into that purple as well. But make sure that you don't do it too much like I just did right here, because you'll have more blending to do. And I did like the way it turned out. That line is a little bit harsh, but I will fix that later. I'm going back in with that bronzer just to blend out that purple a little bit more as well as the outer corner of my eye. Now I'm just going to take my finger to blend out the edges of those two purples, You can use a brush if you like, but it must be clean, no product on it at all. I just didn't feel like having to clean another brush. Now I'm going to highlight my face, and I normally would add my foundation on first, but I decided to go in with this part first. And I also forgot to add on primer, but I did moisturize my face really well, so I did not need to have to use a primer. And primer is optional for me. I don't always have to wear it, especially if I moisturize my face really well, but please do what works for you. And since my foundation is running out, I have to apply it this way because I am done with that foundation completely after this video. And I am buffing that into my skin. I've tried this method before on another video, and I will have that listed down below, so feel free to check that out. And I love the outcome of it, so that's why I wanted to try it again. And I still do love the outcome. I would not always do it this way, but I did like the way that everything turned out. I'm using that same foundation, and I'm going to conceal my brows. And I did not have to conceal the top portion of my brows, but I wanted to. So when I go ahead and apply that foundation onto my forehead, I don't have to worry about going too close to my brows. I'm also going to highlight my forehead, my cupid's bow, and my chin as well. And I like to apply a little bit of that concealer in the center of my brows, so when I go to clean up my brows, whatever product is sitting in the center can kind of blend in and fade into my brows. I also will have a video on how to achieve the perfect brows each time listed down below as well. I don't like for the concealer to sit on my chin and my forehead for too long, so I like to blend that out right away. And I'm really focusing on the edges so that everything blends together. I'm also going to go ahead and blend out the rest of that concealer on my face because it's been sitting for long enough. I wanted to make sure I didn't mess up the bronzer on my nose, so I'm just going back in, not applying any more product onto the brush, but whatever is on there, just applying that there. And I'm going to blend out that bronzer on my nose a little bit more so that it's not too dark. And I could have just stopped with how the concealer was, but I wanted it to be a little more light, so I'm just applying a little more in certain areas. I will let that sit while I apply my bronzer. I like to use my foundation brush to clean up the edges between that bronzer and that concealer. There is no foundation on my brush, so I don't have to worry about any foundation transferring. Now I'm going to make sure I get any creasing for underneath my eyes before going in with my translucent powder to set that concealer into place. Anywhere that you put that concealer, you want to make sure that you set that area with your powder. You also want to make sure that you're setting your foundation as well. Oh yeah, and we cannot forget about the brows. Please set your brows so that they don't be super shiny, and this also will help them not move so much throughout the day. This part is optional. You don't have to do it, but I love to do it because it helps carve out that bronzer even more, as well as setting that foundation under there as well. Now I'm just dusting away all of that powder, and you want to make sure when dusting away the powder that you use some type of pressed powder, and that will help set everything into place also. I like to dust away the product first before going in with my pressed powder. Right now I'm using the pressed powder to set everything into place very lightly because this pressed powder is a lot darker than what I like, but it still works. I hope you all enjoyed this video as much as I did making it, and happy birthday to me.